Yes.
I have to go through you.
So you said it in the hallway, someone heard you say it in the hallway, and then someone, it was like a telephone game, and I was like, Dan Rose is still over there, and then I saw Jacob coming up the stairs, and I said, did you understand what your position is? And I don't understand what your position is. That is really clear. I did get clarification from Lewis on something that the meeting itself is controlled, but once you enter the recess, you can't control it at all. So I said I would like to understand that they need to keep it running because they can stop it for the pause, but if the recess itself is not controlled by the meeting, because your meeting stopped.
Oh, we lost her.
If I stop my meeting and say my meeting's in recess, then I can still stream, but just for the next section. So Jacob can, they both want to be called Jacob. Storms can still stream through break.
My boss at home says yes to that 1 5 gallon.
Okay, yes.
1 gallon?
70.
Is that a bucket?
5 gallon, about 5 gallon buckets. No, I made cleaner. And so, literally I've been throwing grapefruit and oranges and potatoes everywhere. Were you not listening when I said we got like both of them?
I heard the potatoes. How that ties into the honey.
Because then also what farmers will do is they'll say, hey, we're going to have this item, this is the price, and it's usually a really good price. Do you want it or do you know anybody that wants it? They like honey. Do you want 5 gallons of honey?
Probably, yeah.
$70.
Really?
You have to ask permission though. I can only accept wives on honey.
I don't have expertise
Because
in that
listen,
area.
the 5 gallon bucket, it sounds good, but consider how sticky it is, and I would rather pay a little bit more to have an individual. So no, you may not bring 5 gallons of honey, because the lady who has to scoop it is going to be mad every single time.
When my
Organic,
my other
some kind of
this is
crappy,
this
I don't
woman
know,
is mid,
something
she's
special
the-
about it.
She's the
It's worth the $70 for
You
5
gotta take it
gallons.
out.
book.
It is a 5 gallon bucket.
She does a lot of that.
And
too,
I've
so
already
she hires
experienced
her contracts.
yeah, but not when you have to scoop it out.
But I do.
Everybody says that.
I have to scoop it out of the.
And now she's asking me if I have
Honey that
expertise
we
in
get is
pricing.
like you gotta
Well, I
dig it out.
No, I
Is
usually
it
just
because
send
it
them over to
crystallized at the bottom?
Well, the crystal.
Amazon. Just
Honey doesn't ever expire.
new releases.
And it is actually a very good, like, no one should ever buy Neosporin, because that's what honey is. It's natural Neosporin.
Not on pricing.
Okay, but, tell her to text me and say I gave
I
Dave
don't know everything, oddly enough.
because it's messy. It is very messy.
Don't admit it, be like others.
She's fine if I screw it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tyron did his research himself, he was awesome.
So they just message you and they tell you this is what our group can get, but on our, like the paying side is fine, it's when you have to do the donation because it's like a paper trail of donating. So the farmer gets a donation ticket from us where we say, you know, you take 2,000 pounds of potatoes. So we're saying we're going to donate it, but I still have to turn in a donation ticket. And potatoes are easy, but when it comes to like fresh tomatoes, you can't find people to take fresh. When I have to get a donation ticket, it has to
We got 3 more.
a place that we've uploaded
So this is a
to
short
show that's who I'm donating to. So like, I was so irritated in our community center, they're like, we don't want any more tomatoes. Like, how are you guys all wanting food, but you can choose? You should have what I bring. And it's not like it's like high quality stuff, but more people want prepackaged processed food than fresh food in the community center.
I think we did
Which
that.
makes it difficult.
Oh, no, we didn't. I'm so
It's
confused.
easier to handle, but
Wait, there's 2
That's
more.
why I was excited when the mayor said they were going to do a canning kitchen, so that people could potentially do that, because at our center, they charge way too much to use the kitchen, so it's not worth it. We have a canning kitchen, but
She's not there, she's
we're
not
so
gonna hear you.
I think that was Lake Pomeroy School District, is that what you said?
whatever you want. She comes up to the fridge, opens it up, and closes it. I'm like, what? Like, look at the little food. Like, you kidding? Like, we got all the ingredients.
Ingredients. How old? She should be making actual
I know,
videos.
but she just.
Oh,
When
actual
Susan
ingredients.
goes back to work there and gets her business going, then we just want this weekend to be. I've had to run her down. She's amazing, so she's all everything. I mean, I cook maybe. Now I'm gonna have to go back to work.
Anyway, talk about that.
We did a homesteading weekend with my niece, and she loved it and hated it, cause it was the best first time, cause it was like over 100 degrees, and she wanted to do foods that I can't eat, so you have to use the outdoor stuff. And then we made her do sun oven, so like she's making bread, she did cinnamon rolls, and she set her own timer, and she canned and did her apples and all that other crap. And I heard her start screaming, and I come out running, and it was because her cinnamon rolls were done. She was waiting for them to cool, and my husband was eating them, and he didn't help her get it. So she went home, and my sister was like, she's pretty aggressive over the 4 jars of applesauce, because it's a lot of apples to get a little bit. But she knows why you don't want food thrown. So it was super neat to go through the process, and she goes, I gotta tell you what she prayed though, and I said, prayed, she liked her, she goes, yeah, she just said, God, thank you for making me apples, as you said, so that's what you made. And I was like, that's the reality, it did feel hot and irritating, but to know how much you can do with your own food with part of your ingredients.
That's what it's doing.
I haven't had cake,
What did you say?
I think this is like butter and like those little tiny mushrooms. Those little tiny mushrooms. It's like a clump of like Chinese mushrooms.
Oh.
I said, I think those were in here. I took them. I bought some beef gravy.
That does not sound, you did gravy.
Oh no, I fried up the sprouts and the mushrooms and the onions. And I put them in the gravy sauce and then I fried some eggs up. So that's what I
That
cooked
sounds like a
for
bachelor
That's what I
thing.
cooked for the 4th of July. So it's hard to see it here. Back to this barbecue thing. An alligator. They got an alligator and stuck to it's like a big inside the mouth.
I was gonna
Covered
say,
in
what
bacon.
tumor does your alligator have?
That's a-
Where did you get an alligator?
I ordered it from Louisiana, so we did it for some July, so we barbecued it, bacon, smoked it in, and a little pig in there. So- Yeah, a little pig in there. Oh, yeah, alright. So the gator was almost 5 feet tall, so.
Is it, can we go? Okay, now's a good
It's
time.
all-
How is Gator
Let me go
Reed?
for a minute.
It tastes
Don't tell me it tastes like.
Don't leave it too
Everything
long.
tastes
like it's like a smoked salmon. Because John thinks they're white. So,
Oh, it's from
I didn't know they have that.
Did he
until I-
apologize?
No.
I don't think we're
Oh,
supposed to do
yeah,
that
yeah,
if we're
yeah,
going
yeah, I
to get
see it.
sued.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna invite you over this 4th of July with your alligator.
So, did it come with a thing in its mouth, or did you just make that up on your own?
We got it extra big. A friend of mine got the pig, so I got the gator, he got the little pig. So, I mean, it's a better picture, I think. And it's all up to the bacon. We smoked it for 8 hours.
At first I couldn't tell, because when I saw that part, I was like, oh, that's a really large lobster.
Never heard alligator, but I have heard about it.
Yeah.
So yes, I would like to,
Oh, yes, yeah.
because I was gonna drop it, but not now.
He lit you on fire.
Dan pictures?
Dan said.
Dan pictures?
No, he's walking a dog. You can't leave him at home in the crate all day. And he's a pointer, so you can't leave him in a kennel because he'll freeze. He doesn't have a coat for the weather. But he'll come with us and we have this quilter in his crate and he's just happy as a clam in there.
Christine left, the power's out in Blanchard. Power's out, no gas. Well, it's, like, as you influx more people, I guess a lot of people think that your gas pump works when the power goes out, and so there's like pandemonium over it. So you're just, she's like, everybody's calling, the power's out, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, stay another 2 hours.
Do we have everybody from Blanchard come here since the power's on?
There you go.
Got plenty of room.
I don't think we have any takers, she's the only person I can pull to this particular area, so. Does Lewis know that happened?
I doubt it. I didn't know until, the sheriff's, what's her name? Cheryl said, you made front page, and I'm like,
See, everybody saw the property around us.
Time to look inward.
Pardon me?
Everybody, well, we live in 20 acres, so anybody want 20 acres, you can't break it down. And you have neighbors that never want to see it.
You're a trooper.
Very good one.
yeah, that's.
I even quit
nice.
working Tuesdays for this.
I completely like, we've lived in Alaska for the last.
I'm
15
trying to
years,
learn my
and
community.
Every year, like,
I've been learning.
Neighbors without neighbors.
Oh, you're fine. No worries.
we would like neighbors that chop their own trees down when it snows, so that I don't have to speed through it and hope it doesn't crack my windshield. That was my morning slide.
Don't share that.
Yes, how about you?
Us
Yes,
too.
we are,
Denise,
there,
just so you know, the note that was passed back and forth between the two of you is a public record. I have made a request for it. So I look forward for that to be entered into the record. The note that's on video between you and Commissioner Williams.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. I appreciate that, just so that we can be open and transparent, like so many people infer, imply, and.
Dimitri's
Oh
being
my
asked.
gosh.
Oh, yeah.
so you, it's the question that was read.
Yeah.
So I gave you guys your question back,
It was on.
so it's read into the record.
Well, that was a pretty sly move, I'll tell you, you had to be up all night thinking about that one.
You could have compounded if I didn't.
I passed you a note and then put it in my purse and it's, I threw it out. Did I destroy record, public record?
No, there
Is it
weren't
federal
record, I
offense?
made the comment, so I read Bowman's comment, that's what I don't understand, I read the comment that you made, cause you came up and said, did I give you the wrong comment?
Yeah.
That's what he's referencing, I read it, so it's not, it is in the record, we can do a transcription.
He's a petty little tyrant.
So they never, on ours, we have an
Yes, I
HOA
like that.
specifically for road repair.
That's a
and
nice color,
to say
too.
that you cannot divide the property.
Mhm.
You cannot divide the 20 acres down, so you come in
When they were
and
closing?
you are technically trespassing to get through to your side, which means that
I thought
if
the
you
house was
bought this
closed.
piece that went up for sale, you
No,
couldn't
no,
come
no,
in and say, I would like to build this
Oh,
elder
there's
person's
one
home
in,
on this 20 acres, you can't do that. Because the rules actually.
They
make
make
it
him
that
dress funny, dog,
residential
he's a nice guy.
Actually,
Which is one of the things I
Oh.
try to sell to people
Ours is
here,
closed.
right where it works. The downside is the county.
You know where we're-
Do you know they
us,
never had
and I
extra large
usually
clothes in
put
there?
them in. They allowed someone to put a split into.
They
And
don't?
you
Opposite
know,
end
you
of
put
the
a split
spectrum.
into because she wanted to sell it, but I don't know if I was like, you know, what's going on.
Swimming in it.
They're kind of
And
pervious, aren't
she
they?
agreed,
They
because
don't like
we
to
showed
trade.
her,
These are big
you'll
ones.
have to pay, it has to go back. And she put it back to the 20 because it says clearly.
Shotgun junior school.
Never shop.
We don't follow rules.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody says
Shut
like,
my
it's the
mouth.
rules. It's
They
not,
didn't
but
have
in
it,
that
for
one
one thing.
HOA,
And
that's
then when they
something
did, I
you
was
cannot
never
do. So
that size.
what was unfortunate
We
was-
don't know what meetings or engagements
But the county.
They didn't have like women's size,
They could have
they just had sizes.
nicely
But
said,
now I'm
you
kinda
may
like
not
in
know but
between,
she did.
like, I
And she
get
truly
four
did because
spans,
her
like a
husband died
three.
and it was their family
Which is
trust.
junior size, and two's
But when
supposed
we
to be
saw
the
2
same.
tents go up for sale, that was an increase as well, like two.
And I wear fours, but they're a little bit too big.
But now we have
three,
two.
but I have
They're awkward size.
awkward size.
We,
Every short
see, we
legs.
picked smart, we are behind us is just all.
Victoria finds it nice of clothes.
So that is, that's hard to do.
Oh, that's, I have heard her say that.
I've been in there.
You don't, I don't like to dig.
No, I got a couple things up at the, you know that one up in Priest, it's on the, as you're going on that peak? As you're going in, do I?
No,
It's good to be
Try to pick it up with my net.
I would say you have something in your teeth, do I?
You tell me.
No.
Good, not
Just
good.
leave it there.
Yeah.
Unless,
I've got a couple of things up. As you're coming in the Priest, there's that.
When we saw the agenda, we knew this was gonna be rough, you guys could have put tent. At least the power didn't go out.
We're all gonna lay down.
We should have brought a pillow.
Well, then we'll do that thing where they put for
I think
birds.
you're right, I think it's gonna be
Or you
starting
know,
to
like
be
the
dark
airport,
when we
so
go
you can't
home.
lay across, when you get that.
It already is.
When we were coming back
And
from
it's only
Philadelphia,
two.
I never wanted to take their layover more because the lady said $2,000 each person if you'll give up your ticket.
At least
to go
we
up
sure
tomorrow.
will.
I was like, I'll do it, and I was like,
I've done it. You just slip
I'm gonna
behind all
ask
those
what's going
chairs.
on.
Backside.
on the backside. Yeah, and all the stickiness that's on the backside.
Well, you know I am.
I will tell you, we just got
I just
back
don't know how to
from
send
Israel
them.
back in February,
You don't want to send
and
Videos.
that flight, 17-hour flight.
Did you buy the fancy flight ticket for the,
Come on down.
No, we didn't. And I have to.
No.
We walked the aisle, we walked the aisle, we walked the
This
aisle.
guy's, he's a
We
walker.
tried to
What
lay
is
back.
this? I don't know
Yeah, this is
why you would ask me that
Instagram
question.
on me the whole way.
Until my like, when a Facebook president goes into
Oh.
another, I don't actually see it, but I was there.
Those usually like,
Talking about how
in the middle.
there's kids went to college and now she comes back and she's
Oh, I'm looking at it, but I can only look.
17, 16-year-old.
I wouldn't let my kids go to college.
I kept waiting.
have I talked to
You know,
them?
what part?
To
Last
them?
long flight I went to
It's over behind
Pennsylvania, and I
Grabbing my
had
hand.
I'm sure he'll let you know.
Oh,
Because I
right.
don't,
Last of
I
it.
don't talk about gender unless it's something.
The only thing that kept me
There's a
from
reason.
waiting was the kid was autistic, so I was like, just
Oh, it's their
let it
business.
ride.
I know.
Maybe I did.
And it's
I
true.
saw
I
it,
did.
and thought, I'm gonna contact you.
I sent prosecutor a letter saying you called me a liar, and then I was sued again. He needed an apology.
I was trying to figure out.
And his answer to the letter was, but I'm not sure
Never
he did, because I sent it to Lewis, not.
really had any inclinations of that jail. And her reaction to that was to try to
Not
stop
that
her
matters,
and
huh?
try to talk her out of it and
We don't know.
send her and whatever.
We
Resulted in
don't know.
I don't, well, pretty sure Lewis didn't,
can't, if
pretty
she's an
sure
adult,
Deja didn't. And only these two.
it's just, you can't talk her out of what she is any more than she can talk me into being what she is.
No, but what they did is we basically just.
Because you're
I
not.
think nowadays they do though.
Because I was just gonna be like.
It's, yeah,
And I think
Now
that
it's
takes
like,
away from
really?
the real days.
I
You're-
just
that's what Jay says.
You're lying.
It makes her angry. She's,
I bet it does. Well, it makes me angry. I think myself as women,
It might be nice talking about it.
especially when they have a body. That really pisses me off.
it's smaller
Yeah.
They allow for it.
Question that I asked her, I expected a different answer. She wants to my book. I asked.
It makes her angry because she,
And she said, yeah. and I said,
diminishes
"I feel
people who are
like that." And she's like,
It's almost like,
well, anything they are. Okay.
Well, it's like that male swimmer, that's Mark.
It just ruined everything.
those guys,
unique experience.
They compete with women's sports because they can't succeed in men's sports because they're not good.
It was funny because I was,
So they go in there
I kept saying to her, you don't, you
Win.
can't get the feel of it.
It really destroys
That's
women's
what she came
futures.
in and you're really believing what
Why
I
would
was
you
saying.
more win?
And it took you 2 minutes. Yeah.
I'm gonna take a picture of the back next to Dimitri.
Well, I don't know, honey, because he's in collusion with Asia and Luke is subpoenaed the letter.
Yeah.
Yeah, well. Makes Luke look around to see where we're at.
Should you submit that to Luke?
My phone is dying over here.
I threw mine away. I
Mine's
destroyed-
real low,
I
mine's
destroyed
about as
it.
low as yours is.
Oh, I give it to him. Okay, I want this entered.
It's disappointing. Isn't it?
Petty little pyro.
Go on recesses and.
Yeah, apparently it's been signal searching.
What about Austin? What about Austin? Well, I wonder if he's gonna get fired.
Of course not. I don't find
I
anybody.
took Tylenol, but it doesn't quite cover it.
But what Lloyd Austin did
I
was
didn't
put
think
us
I'd be
in
gone all day.
bad jeopardy. And we still don't know why he's in the hospital.
Now I gotta ask, is it raw?
But when you're in intensive care, that means you're gonna die, you have a chance of dying.
Right. Ben didn't tell his.
It can wait.
Well, that's
Pardon
because,
me.
Biden's not in charge. I mean, this man, I'm the new. He's working more.
See, but she didn't give a blanket yes though either. She had a qualifying statement, which means that was right for me to say you needed your wife's permission.
Now I'm confused.
See?
If I'm looking at your phone too much, just stop. Cause I try not to look at your personal stuff, there's stuff that I know is
I didn't
okay.
know if I still would be, but being a boss doesn't contract with me. I know by now.
Really, for them?
Every damn day.
Where are they from?
I didn't know that the team said maybe time for me to finish
I
that.
stopped writing because it was.
I'm excited, I'll be ready for the county fair.
I didn't know you had anything to do with
I
that.
wrote from like 2015 until 2022.
Wow.
I did my.
That's what this one is
I
for.
can't do this.
Good for you.
Madam Clerk, are we ready?
One shoulder.
Good afternoon, it is 2:05 and we are returning from a recess. And we are going to begin our public comment session, and we are gonna start today with our online members. And the first person I'm gonna call upon is Amy Lunsford. Go ahead, Ms. Lunsford, you have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you. Amy Lunsford for the record. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Does Bonner County have a purchasing agent that gets quotes on commonly used supplies? Because every corporate type job I have been employed at has had office supply contracts and other, used type of contracts. And we, the employees, were issued what was afforded to us, and anything above and beyond we had to pay for. And I'm asking this question is because it seems like some of our groups have way too big of a yearly budget. And for example, the prosecutor's office, they've been using a third party to transcribe meetings. And there's a lot of them. So maybe if we purchased our own transcription software, that would be cheaper for the taxpayers in the end. One transcription was $186. And it was for a rush on a special 1-hour BOCC meeting about the RV park in April. They have new desks for $794. They got government auditing standard literature for $221. The memo said that they needed it to give advice to the fair board and the sheriff. They have Prime memberships for $179. Does every elected get their own Prime account for $179? Or would it be best if we had just one account for the whole county and one person manage that? At one point, the prosecutor office apparently remodeled an upstairs kitchen and spent $140 on a new kitchen island, $191 on a storage cabinet. They have many Kindle downloads in the hundreds of dollars. At one point, they bought AirPods for $199, more AirPods for $219, an armoire for $549, gaming keyboards for $179. At what point is this okay to continually buy these excessive items for government work? There was a drone for $900. The memo said that it was for investigations. VR goggles for $779. That didn't have any memo. Apparently that just went through. And my other question is, if the prosecutor has a drone and VR goggles for investigations, why wasn't that loaned to the Sandpoint Police Department for Darcy Smith's initial investigation of her crime scene? Instead of having an officer walking around with a cell phone above his head.
Miss Lunsford, your time has expired. The first part of your question, I couldn't hear because is there a way to turn the volume down? It's like crazy loud. So technology, I don't know, I'm sorry, it was actually so loud I didn't catch the very first part of your question about your query. If you would email the board, that would be appreciated, but for the general public, I will say, we are waiting on a couple of executive sessions to get to with departments. So, Ms. Lunsford, thank you for your comments. Please email any additional questions that you may have. Mr. Kramer, go ahead.
Good afternoon, I guess now, not morning anymore. Brandon Kramer for the record. I have a similar question as to Ms. Lunsford as it relates to the Amazon accounts. Who has those accounts, who has access to them, and how are they in fact audited? It seems reasonable that one could purchase something within the Amazon account, submit it to the county, and then return that item for Amazon credit as they see fit. So that's an interesting debacle that the county may find themselves in, rather than having a purchaser like Ms. Lunsford had asked. My second question is around, this is I think specifically to Commissioner Omot, the ability to ask questions on specific agendized items was raised by you last week, I believe it was. And I'd like to understand the process for which the public may have their thoughts or opinions heard during these meetings, given the fact that public comment has been removed entirely.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Kramer. Christine Noella, excuse me.
Hi there.
Hold on one moment.
Hear me?
Yeah, one moment, Miss Noel. Thank you. I was just watching for the tech to reset your timer. Please begin.
Okay, so my name is Christine Logue for the record, and I was there earlier but had to leave. I did have to get back to work today. I had a couple things of question today, and I did get one of them answered as per the commissioner's comments. I wondered if you guys had a chance to review the agenda items prior, like per se, if, you, Mr. Oman, had brought something, agendized an item, and put it on there, if the other two commissioners were able to review that and see prior to the meeting, so that way, you know, if, to make a decision so quickly, that you had already had a chance to look over the agendized item. And then that being said, it's really nice to hear why or why not a decision is made on those different items, what causes you to say yes or to say no. Also, I'm having a concern again with the Daily Beat. We all know that that is the paper of choice for public notices, and I had to completely get rid of my subscription just because it doesn't even come to our area. You can pay triple the amount if you want to have it online, if they don't, because even the internet in my area kind of so it'd be a waste of my money. But it's still being used as the source to put in the public notices when it's not readily available to anyone else, or not everybody, excuse me, is what I meant to say. It's not in our area, north of Spirit Lake, Old Town, Priest River. The only place that gets it is the east side of our county. Is there something else we can do about that? And then, Mr. Omont, you represent us all, or you said that you represent us all as a county, and that I believe is true. And I'm just wondering that when an item is brought to your attention, such as many of us are bringing up, to have you guys consider those to be put on the agenda, or, you know, talk about, or bring it to them. What is the protocol for that? Do you have to do something specific to get, like, per se you, or Mr. Bradshaw? Can any one of you three commissioners put those items on the list? And if so, how come, only Asia seems to be putting them on? And then the public comment being at the end, it seems that it ends or adds more. Instead of, you know, me wanting to come there, say what I have to say, and then go about our business, it seems that I'm listening through all these meetings and I'm coming up with all these other notes and all these other questions. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention and wondered if it could be returned to
Christine, your time has expired. Thank you for your comments.
And HR returned back to the.
Thank you for your comments. We are moving on to the next speaker. You're welcome. Christina Nicholas Anderson.
Anderson, for the record. Thank you for hearing my comments today. There's been much speculation and controversy over the ICCO, its purpose, membership, existence, and whether it exists and why, and its impact on both the BOCC and the taxpayers. Rather than allowing for further speculation and rumors, Ms. Lunsford and I have discussed hosting a formal meeting in which we would extend an invitation to all current and former members of the ICCO to attend. Members could choose to attend or not at their own choosing. Those in attendance would be invited to give a 3 to 5 minute presentation on their role in the ICCO, either past or present. Members of the public would have the opportunity to submit questions on index cards, which would be read to the ICCO members by the meeting facilitator, with a limit on the length of the responses. No audience participation would be allowed to allow for a structured and productive meeting. The meeting would have a hard start and stop time to allow officials to return to their respective jobs. It is the feeling this would be a good use of taxpayer resources, considering these officials have already invested significant amounts of time in these meetings and have now been subject to much ridicule. I feel this would serve to educate the public once and for all. We believe we've identified an unbiased approach to hosting the meeting and find the county building would be the most appropriate and neutral place to hold said meeting. If you find the meeting would be better hosted by a county employee to proxy, we'll happily step aside to allow that to take place. We were simply offering to do some of the legwork We understand that you don't rent or allow community members to use county buildings. So we're asking if the BOCC would either host the bid meeting or allow us to proxy it and do some of the legwork in effort to bring this whole ICCO thing to light once and for all, and allow its members to either clear their name or educate us once and for all on what they do or what they don't do. We're happy to help in any way necessary to facilitate this effort. Respectfully and solution-focused, Christina L. Nicholas Anderson. We welcome your feedback and thank you for considering this.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Anderson. Mr. Hutchings, go ahead.
This is Spencer Hutchings for the record. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm so glad. You sound like you're so happy to hear from me, Luke. I'm glad to make your Tuesday. I was curious. I may have mentioned this in the past, and if I did, I don't think anything happened. Where's Darcy's laptop? And what's on her laptop? Why is there this big mystery over finances when we have this gal's laptop, which is county owned, and nobody seems to have looked at it? Or did somebody look at it and they don't want to tell us what's on it? I don't know. But there's a laptop out there, and I'm kind of curious why nobody's being told what's on it.
I'd take that up with the prosecutor.
Well, the prosecutor is dropping in on this meeting, isn't he? Or did he die of boredom? I don't know.
Let's allow the public to continue with his comments.
So prosecutor, and from what my understanding was that I think Clerk Rosedale had the laptop for like a year and never looked at it. I mean, or the clerk's office had it. So if they've had it, how come nobody's looked at it? I guess, maybe Lewis needs to go get it or something. I'm not sure. And I'd like you to know your attempts to silence the public and to silence Asia and to put her in a little box and make sure she can't do anything are very, very obvious. And I'm sure at this point you know they're very obvious, and you're doing it anyways, which means you don't care. So if you don't care that your obvious attempts to silence the public and silence Asia are being seen by everybody, man, there's got to be some serious motivation for you to do that, because you are really angering a lot of people. Seeing you pick on this lady who's trying to do her job while the two of you are doing your best to do nothing or to do things that are benefiting you in some way. I don't know.
Well, Mr. Hutchings, that's where I'm going to stop you. You have a history of making comments, and as I said at the beginning, that is not derogatory. I will not tolerate that. Your comments are done. Thank you, Mr. Hutchings. No, you are done, Mr. Hutchings. I appreciate that, but you will not be making comments. In your last go-round, it was about the ability of someone on this board to purchase their own private property. Mr. Hutchings is done speaking today. Are there any other members online that would like to participate? Seeing none, we will begin with our printed list of participants, and we will begin with Miss Ann Wilder Chamberlain.
She's not here.
Okay, does she have a comment?
Yes, she does.
I will read it into the record. I'll take the other one for Mr. Kramer as well.
Thank you.
All right, and
have to read it.
I'm going to start with Mr. Kramer's. Commissioners, this is from Brandon Kramer, who has already spoken. I'm writing to ask that you not approve this memorandum and instead keep the commissioner reports as part of the BOCC weekly business meeting agenda. As stated in the memo, the purpose of the BOCC weekly business meeting is 1-200 purpose. This chapter is enacted for the purpose of establishing a regular meeting schedule for the Bonner County Board of Commissioners in order that the board activities can be carried out with greater public participation and awareness. Ordinance 192 enacted April 9th, 1990. Unfortunately, the suggestion to remove or the act of actually removing the commissioner reports from the BOCC weekly business meeting is contrary to the key element of the weekly business meeting. It is very clear the reason why the BOCC weekly business meetings exist is to, in order that board activities can be carried out with greater public participation and awareness. I have added emphasis so it is abundantly clear why the BOCC weekly business meeting is used. The commissioner reports, when used appropriately, do in fact provide us, the public, a greater awareness of what is happening with the operations of Bonner County and provide us
with the greatest opportunity to participate via asking questions over any other mechanism. Without the commissioner reports, the public would not be aware of the commissioner chats, progress, and updates on the Idaho Association of Counties and other board activities. It is true there is no law, ordinance, or regulation which specifically requires a commissioner's report. However, I call upon each of you to operate to a higher level than what is minimally required. As with all things in life, nobody desires for the absolutely minimum standards to be met. As a school teacher, surely Commissioner Ahmet wanted more for his students than D grades, although Ds get degrees. As a pastor, Commissioner Bradshaw surely wants his flock to be rich in the fruit of the Spirit and not stop at only placing their faith in Jesus. As a holder of an MBA, surely Commissioner Williams doesn't want a business to break even each year, but rather have exceptional profits. All that to say, removing commissioner reports will beholden you to operating that much closer to the absolute minimum in your capacity as a county commissioner. I am confident that in your other endeavors you strive for excellence, and I urge you to do the same here. Best regards, Brandon Kramer. P.S. There is no law, ordinance, or regulation which prohibits the commissioner reports. Mr. Kramer, I will tell you, because you asked for this to be read into the record, your phone number will be found on that document. The next is from Miss Ann Chamberlain. My name is Ann Wilder Chamberlain, and I live north of Priest River at 349 Primrose Lane. I have spoken to all of you about the necessity of creating a telecommunications ordinance to protect Bonner County residents from the proliferation of microwave radiation flooding our country. You can see on the map how many antennas are already in Sandpoint alone. The wireless industry is a formidable enemy if you have no protective language in place. Kootenai County is currently dealing with this problem as the wireless industry is determined to place unnecessary cell towers in residential neighborhoods all over the county, and residents are rising up to fight it. In the Potlatch Hill neighborhood, residents had several good documented reasons for the commissioners to deny the placement of a cell tower in their neighborhood, including a water issue and no significant gap in coverage. The county, following local land use planning rules, denied the facility, and AT&T is now trying to sue them because, as their attorney stated, there is insufficient language in their telecommunications code to prevent the placement of that tower. For this reason, I am asking the BOCC to update our comprehensive plan to include protections that we also currently do not have. In 2022, Andrew Campanelli, the top litigator on behalf of municipalities in the country, for only $8,000 wrote a model telecom ordinance for Dalton Gardens with full legal backing. Every municipality in the state can use it. Kootenai County has asked for it. Why not Bonner County? I have a presentation I would like to give you and your constituents regarding what you can legally put into an ordinance to protect you and Bonner County residents from wireless industry overreach. I am asking that this be put on the agenda for next week and that the BOCC subsequently has a public workshop to discuss the details. Thank you. 130 towers and 187 antennas in Sandpoint alone. And there is a copy for each of the commissioners, and there will be one that will be entered into the record.
So I need to add something to Ann. I scheduled her workshop. She has her workshop scheduled on the 16th, which is next Tuesday at 1 p.m. after the business meeting, to give her PowerPoint presentation for information.
Thank you, Commissioner. And now we will return to the public. Miss Diane Welly.
I've come to you in the past citing pieces of the armor of God.
Pardon me, Miss Diane, would you state, I apologize, but for the people that are coming
Diane
up.
Welly for the record.
Thank you.
With which we must arm ourselves against the evil that I believe is creeping into Bonner County. I made a critical error. We're not to come wearing a piece of the armor at a time. We're to wear the entire set of armor at all times. Commissioner Bradshaw, you were correct once when you suggested the enemy had a foothold in this building. However, it didn't begin or start in 2023. It didn't begin with any of you three. It was already here, and it was waiting to do what the enemy does best, cause division in secret. And you were more than happy to play his game, as was the smirking commissioner, who is more than happy to harass by proxy. What that commissioner doesn't know is that he was a patsy for real evil, who is playing him like a fiddle and will toss him aside like a toy eventually. The enemy has turned this county into a laughingstock across the county.
I am going to stop you
now. The enemy has prompted attacks on
Cameron.
the county clerk, on the sheriff and
Miss
on the
Welly, I'm
prosecutor.
gonna ask you to cease your
Hate
comments.
is the overriding theme in Bonner County,
It
and
is
the county is
2:26 and we
losing.
will take a
Luke, I want
5-minute
no more
recess.
apologies from you as I requested previously. No, sorry,
Miss Welly,
no. Keep playing your game of chaff and redirect. We won't be distracted by
is
your
this gonna
games
be how we're gonna handle
anymore.
this, Lieutenant?
The enemy divided the angelic realm,
You aren't
and
here to
those
serve
he
and protect
duped
for the county?
were sentenced with him.
Yes, Sheriff.
Do not be mistaken.
What?
Those who follow the enemy today will receive the same sentence. I will continue to fight the enemy and those who do his
We're in
bidding,
recess.
and I will do so with a full set of armor and not just pieces of it.
What is unfortunate is that,
Thank you, Cameron.
Cameron is put in an awkward position because.
I know.
I'm going
It's
to
not
make
his
this
fault.
comment on the record when we return, but, there'll be an understanding of why what our board is doing is wrong. If you read the Daily Bee article that this board put forward against a member of the public, it is very difficult to tell somebody to come in here and do something greater than what you're willing to do.
You can't help yourself.
And Lieutenant Riffle isn't here to manage this meeting. You
Lieutenant
can
Riffle
walk
took an
away,
oath.
Lieutenant Riffle is not here to
To the
manage the
Constitution.
meeting.
Well, you answered my
Well, I could have
It's not
sworn he
listening.
took an oath to the
No, he
constitutional
doesn't
state
take
of
the
Iowa.
oath. He doesn't take
know.
oath. You take godmother and
No.
family. I seen the oath he signed. It doesn't say anything about that.
He is not here for that purpose.
Was not disrespectful.
She answered my
Did I, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Did you ask me a question?
I didn't ask you a question.
Are we in recess?
Yep.
How long?
I'll be here till tomorrow.
Time.
Till the next
It's
person
called
speaks.
timeout in the education. Kids, you've got a 5-minute timeout.
Yeah, like children.
So the next person speaks about what's approved.
Oh, yeah.
We got orders now.
He's gonna do harassment by proxy, I think is what got him.
Yeah, but she's, I mean, that's.
I'm sorry, but we need to add a list
The best
No,
one is
not
Kyra,
transgress.
that bingo game, we're gonna have that.
They can't be attacking the characters.
I find the terminal
They don't
amount
make
of
it
good read,
once you
especially
get
for
to
them that wants to their brother's right.
Try, try it.
their characters.
I try it on a regular basis, thank you.
I don't think you've ever heard it.
Church is
Well, thank you.
Okay, so you're in.
Well, that's your opinion, I appreciate
It
it.
is.
What time did we go? Was that 4:24? Thank you, Madam Clerk.
I could stare you much better than you can me. And I don't look away.
All right.
It is 2:31 and we are returning back to our public comment section, and I will return by beginning with the purpose for the public comment segment of the Board of County Commissioners business meeting is to enable citizens with issue or concerns which they wish to bring to the board's attention and afford an opportunity for consideration on a future agenda for possible board action. The board will not engage in dialogue with the presenter during the session, but rather may choose to schedule the presenter's topic for board consideration at a future business meeting. Questions may be directed to an individual board member for the purpose of clarifying issues or to obtain additional information for the purpose of scheduling the matter for a future business meeting. However, no action will be taken on any issue or concern brought to the board's attention during the session. The chair will not entertain under any circumstances comments derogatory in nature toward any board member, staff member, elected official, or member of the public. And I will bring to the members that are here of the public, this has been a trying meeting. There will not be continued derogatory comments toward any board member, staff member, elected official, or member of the public. Another comment of that session, we will just immediately recess before going into the executive session because we have staff members that are here to serve the public. And this gotcha game that has been played is not going to continue. With that, our next speaker is Mr. Dan Welly. Yes, you are, sir. But you don't have to, do you have any comments to make?
No.
George, which I'm assuming is George Gary. Jennifer Kramer.
Jennifer Kramer for the record. I forget who asked it. About the items that we bring forth, that any one of you three can add them to the agenda for discussion. And Luke, I saw you nodding your head that was correct. Help me understand, although I guess this isn't dialogue, but I fail to understand why when Asia puts items on that are public items, that you refuse to even second them for discussion, for deliberation, so that we can at least understand where you're coming from. And so my request is that you would be more respectful of the public and our desire for business to be done in the county, and discuss these items and actually deliberate, and don't just shut down things because they're Asia's topics. Thank you.
I'll clarify that they're not Asia's on this particular one. These were your, right, they're the request of the public, from Miss Lunsford to Miss Nichols Anderson to Mr. Kramer online. Public comment is that I hear you and I respond by putting it on the agenda, and it should be that we hear what you guys want to know about those topics.
Our next public speaker is Mr. Rick Kramer.
Rick Kramer for the record. I would like on the agenda next week that you, Mr. Olmott, explain to us, the county, why we can't have public comment, why you remove that, and the commissioner's reports. The commissioner's reports are important to us, and you didn't explain why you want to remove it, you just removed it. You just instantaneously said, we're removing this immediately. And I'd like for you next week to explain to us your agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer. The next speaker is Mr. Dan Rose.
Good afternoon. Dan Rose for the record. Public comment has existed since ordinance creation in 1990, Ordinance 192. The board's decision to retool, reboot the weekly business meeting is not operational improvement, but rather destruction of efficient, long-standing procedure. I bring to you today a request that the Board of County Commissioners create an agenda item to instruct or be part of the Comprehensive Planning Committee ability to reopen the utilities portion of the comprehensive plan. Suggested amendment to address an obvious oversight as compared to other utilities within that same public services, facilities, and utilities section of the comp plan, which has also been provided to the planning director and the planning commission. Under code, any person can ask for this to be reopened. I am doing it personally, and I would ask that you do it as my representative. The planning commission's suggested update for public services, facilities, and utilities is dated November 7th, has yet to be scheduled as a recommendation update, which is the next step. And then the step after that would be a resolution by the board after you've discussed and decided it. The resolutions listed on the 23 and 24 list on the website do not identify a public services, facilities, or utilities currently adopted amendment by the BOCC, so it's still open for consideration. The Planning Commission's recommendation has not yet been drafted or publicly posted at the comp site either. The plan neither includes the identification of telecommunication providers, nor is a coverage map of the provider service areas presented like other sections in that section of public services, facilities, and utilities. It is well known that the telecommunications providers such as AT&T, Verizon, and SpaceX have service areas and facilities, those cell towers are facilities, defined by structures under the Bonner County Ordinance 11-219 and Bonner County Ordinance 12-819, both being the definition of structure. Additionally, Bonner County Ordinance 12-08 communication towers is defined, and 12-821 urban services is defined, and urban services includes telephone services. Public service facilities and utilities, chapter 3, section 3.4 needs to be added to address telecommunications service providers, facilities, structures, and geographic coverage overlays, as at least AT&T and Verizon receive tax or service fees from individual phone bills to be used in infrastructure services, including 911 calls.
Mr. Rose, your time is up. Would you email that to us, please?
I will, and if I just close, without, actually, I think you have one there.
If you'll email it, I'll get it to Chair Songstad and our planning director, and I will follow up with you.
Okay, and I have done that personally to them in the office today.
Okay.
Without an added section, public services, facilities, utilities, chapter 3, section 3.4, I suggest any resolution toward adoption of that public services, facilities, and utilities comp plan amendment pursuant to 67, 6502, and 6509 is incomplete and ill-advised. Thank you.
We'll take a look at it. Thank you. Mr. Bowman.
Dave Bowman for the record. Commissioner Ahmet, at December 19th business meeting, you falsely accused Diane Willie of lying. And
Mr.
reacted-
Bowman.
Nope, I'm going on. And
Mr. Bowman.
I'm stating.
No, you are not,
reacted
Mr. Bowman.
unlawfully,
That's
removing
it.
the agendized
Get out of
item
here.
of public comment.
That's it,
I'm not-
Mr. Bowman.
Nothing personal.
Mr. Bowman.
I'm gonna- Please don't put your hands on me.
No, you don't need to put his
Okay.
hands on him.
Her comment was that both
Mr.
former
Bowman.
commissioners
Mr.
showed up
Bowman.
here.
We're going.
Nope, one was
Here,
observed
recess.
going in the commissioner's area during the
Bowman.
middle of executive session.
Mr. Bowman.
She did not lie.
Mr.
I
Bowman.
personally observed Dan McDonald come and go
Mr.
on December
Bowman.
12th and Jeff Connolly on December the 13th, and I'm gonna quote
Hey, we still have to
Commissioner
go into
Ahmet
executive
verbatim
session.
Mr. Bowman.
from the meeting. Sorry.
Yeah, we're
What will
recessed.
not be tolerated, he said, by the
Bowman.
board is straight up
Cameron,
lying in
Cameron.
regards to actual events. Let me
rules aren't
speak
gonna make him not
unequivocally.
speak,
First
so
off, there were
literally-
Okay,
two
we're in
members that
recess,
were here
Cameron.
last week.
We're good to de-escalate. I can see how much help we're gonna get.
And the
from
lies, let me be, can I be more
People.
clear, he said, whether it is a lie of omission or commission, a lie is misrepresentation of the truth. When Jeff
you,
Connolly
Cameron.
came up because he was here at the Panhandle Forest
We're good.
Collaborative, well, I'll tell you what, there was no meeting that day, and the only lie told that day was by you. And so he wraps it up. So whether or not he may or may not have gone back and forth to, you know what, I have no clue, because you know what, Commissioner Bradshaw and myself were in this room in executive session. Matter of fact, I never even discovered that he was in our office where he worked for a number of years. So let me state unequivocally, lies are not going to be tolerated unless you tell them yourself.
Well, I'm
And
tolerating
because of
this,
that,
Dave, your lips
there
are
will-
moving.
I'm quoting you right off.
No,
the-
I'm talking, your lips are moving, so obviously I do tolerate lies.
You make that up yourself.
No, I'm just
So,
looking
and
at
that
you.
was where you violated Idaho Code
No, I mean, we got law enforcement, look how useful they
74-4C.
are. Nope.
I
So
checked.
so I'm gonna stop. That is the most unreasonable thing to do. Lieutenant Riffle is not here
Yeah, not like
to
pulling a
manage
microphone out of
meeting.
your satchel.
And more than that, this board shouldn't have issued something in a
Pardon me.
newspaper
I'm not
against a
touching-
resident
I'm
and
not
then
touching you. I'm
expect to
walking into
end
my
the meeting.
office.
Mr.
Dave.
Bowman.
Excuse me, Luke.
There is-
Being
Oh, wait, I
can't even think of the word.
Yep, I know you can.
That's all.
I'm sorry, Karen.
It's a public meeting and I'm not leaving.
So we have to go over what a sergeant at arms,
Those don't work for you, they're for everybody else.
this is the most unreasonable thing. Because a sergeant at arms cannot remove him because we don't have protection. That's not what the function is. It is not to bounce people out because we don't like that they're telling us what they don't like to our face. We publish this in the newspaper and he is vindicating someone that a lie was told about. That's not okay. We're not supposed to end the meeting for that reason. I sit here getting talked about while people run, still talking, in a meeting, and I have to absorb it. So we can't go to community members and say, I don't like that you're talking about what you literally just published in the newspaper today, and say, get out of the meeting. That, we can't do that. And that's not, it's not his function, and that's not what Lieutenant Riffle is here for. And it risks the county. His job is not to be distracted by this. Because I will tell you right now, I have no idea what's happening back there. Commissioner Bradshaw is supposed to be here for meetings. We have recessed so long, we're not in a meeting. So what are we doing? As a sergeant of arms, it's not even intended for 3 people because it is we as commissioners that are supposed to follow rules. The public is not supposed to break a law. If they break a law, dial 911 and see if someone comes to remove them, but they won't because saying what you don't want to hear doesn't make somebody get arrested. Saying an adjective you don't like. We sat in this meeting and you can hear it. Multiple times, Commissioner Ahmed will say something about community. But when community says something, the meeting stops for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 2 hours. And then we say, Cameron, remove people. We cannot do that. And we can't get close to people because even not touching someone can look like intimidation to a community member. And it's not okay.
Do we get a right list of words that are not acceptable and derogatory so we know next meeting not to use them?
Oh, is that like calling
Hey,
the commissioner
ready?
a piece of shit? Is that what you're talking about? That's actually an act of aggression. I just want you to know that.
Right.
If I get into the parking lot is a bigger
Hey.
one.
It is Mr.
You can
No,
follow me.
Again, I'm not the only one
You
you're
can follow me out in the parking lot too, Dan.
Yeah.
Hey,
So it's a threat.
do it again, we're ready?
We're ready.
All right, it is
Very good.
2:23 and we are coming back into our meeting and I will step down from the chair and move to go into executive session under Idaho Code 74-206 1A hiring. Is there a second?
Yes.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion amongst the board?
There is discussion. These people came back after waiting nearly 3 hours, and I myself am a person on that list for public comment. We have been given legal opinion as to this behavior, and we've been advised not to do this. It is agendized to have public comment. Public comment and the right to free speech is not for the speech that you like. It is actually for what you don't like. I have sat here and listened to people make comments about me the whole meeting. I'm not yelling at anybody. I'm not screaming. That's part of being an elected official. You're not gonna always be accepted by everybody. But this behavior that says, I'm gonna call out
Commissioner,
individual people.
we are here to
I'm going
speak
to
on the
actually, as
agendized
a
item.
board member, did we pay for the article that we put in the B about a community member? Did we pay for that?
No.
That's not reasonable. Why are we attacking our own community, but yet coming together saying, we need to function appropriately? Our actions aren't in line as a board. And the reason I say board is whether I like the actions of the board that votes 2-1 on almost everything, we're still a board. So I don't accept this constant idea of pushing the public out because you don't like that they don't like the way that you look at them, the way you stare at them, the way you try to dress them down. And you do and have used rude, disrespectful language to members of the public while sitting here demanding that they treat you better than you deserve to be treated in these meetings. And that's what was exhibited today. And it needs to stop. You are elected. I have to accept crap that I don't like. I'm sitting in a meeting in a way I should not have to sit in because I'm an elected official. I have to suck it up. She should get to vindicate herself. Everyone should get their comment. The way you run this meeting is disgusting. For everybody that's online, if you asked me for something, I answered it. And if you didn't hear my answer, Christina, Amy, or even to Mr. Lady, you need to ask your elected official in Luke Ahmed as to why you didn't get to hear the answer, because I did the work to bring forward your issue, to bring resolution to what you wanted to hear. I'm only one commissioner, but we cannot continue to function with this level of behavior by the board. I don't care what the community does. We are a board and we lead by example. And it is disgusting that you keep attacking someone that's here. I feel horrible that Lieutenant Riffle has to sit back there, but he's not back there because of me.
Oh, yes, he is.
No, he's not. No, he's not. And I am tired of that rhetoric from you. And as you sit here and tell these people to be quiet as they defend themselves, the fact that you sit here and say because of me is disgusting.
He is here to prevent that man from carrying a weapon
I'd say
under
everybody needs to write a letter to the editor
Dave,
and let the chairman
get out now.
Be put on
Or,
notice
excuse
of
me,
what he's doing.
apologies. Dan.
I'm leaving.
Perfect.
I'm leaving.
Thank
as
you.
long as I tell everyone to write a letter to the editor.
Please do.
Dan, you're right in at Dan Rose, before you leave. Jacob does not have your email or phone to correspond about your letter. But what is the email that you want me to give him?
I'd rather not give it out.
We are going.
Okay, can you give?
That's twice. Roll call vote.
Give all of it. No. Can you give all of the information he requested,
Yes.
please?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are entering into executive session.
Good.
Oh, wait. It was Idaho Code 742061A hiring.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
I already made it second and voted. They are leaving.
We are in there.
The only
It
comment
doesn't
I got
matter, you
about
got
that
another open
article,
meeting law violation coming at you.
two
I'm sure we do.
comments. One said add a girl.
Dave,
and
why
an
don't you go vote in
88-year-old
2
woman
states
said,
ago?
I'm proud of you.
What the? You have no idea what, you have any proof that I've ever done that, anything like that? No, you don't. So there's another lie. That's very mature of you. You're a lying son of a bitch.
Thank you, Mr.
Have a nice day, Bowman.
I will. I've already had one. I shut you down.
I just did. Yes, I did.
Yeah, you sure did.
Yep.
Wait a minute, Jody.
So we're in this. No, I'm seeing a lot. I'm seeing a lot. This was very eye-opening. I don't think it is. It's very eye-opening. It's eye-opening. You going to Thursday Bible study?
So.
Okay.
I was
I'll see you
on
there.
my way and I started coughing. I was sick last Thursday. I'm going.
I'll see you there. Are you going?
Yeah, I was sick
Okay.
last Thursday. No. Thank goodness.
I'll see you later.
Okay.
Oh. Diane, I'm sorry. I have to ask you to leave.
Oh, I'm going.
Oh,
I'm just not going fast enough.